Welcome to the Social Stack, your go-to channel for marketing tips based in technology for your real estate business. I'm Amy Stack, and today we have a very special guest. Miss Margaret Giffin is here with me in person, and we are going to be talking about buyer consultation, what some of her pro tips are for you, and how you can easily make one in Command. Margaret has been killing it. She's done over 14 million in production in the last 12 months. She's telling me not to say that about her, but it's true. Yay!
We go up and down, but
She's-
we all do. Expected.
She's also on the ALC, so if you guys aren't familiar, that means she is an agent leader in our office, and like I said, has graciously agreed to share some of her secrets with us today. So Margaret, I'm going to let you kind of take that away, and you let me know what I can do for you as far as being Vanna White and running Command and all that stuff. So
Perfect. Okay. Hi everyone. I see some friends I know and I see some friends I don't. So hi new friends. So just a little bit about me. I have a background from a former life in PR and marketing. So I ended up staying home, taking care of my kids, saying I still needed to do something. So I did all kinds of fundraising. And if anybody who does that kind of work knows you don't get paid for it.
Yeah.
So I loved looking at houses. I loved helping people with houses. And I was approached by the Gores Group years ago to say, would you at least stage for us? Or would you do this? Or would you do that? So it sort of led me in that direction. I got into real estate 10 years ago. And I'm a Keller Williams baby, I like to call myself, because I haven't been anywhere else. So I don't know anything different. And I love KW and I love what it has to offer. A couple of years ago, I used to be the ALC tech head. And it was when I first came on the ALC and the only position open was tech. Nobody wanted to do it. I was like, oh, sure, I can do that. I did PR and marketing and for high tech. So it actually was probably one of the best decisions that I made, because I was forced, as was Amy, to really dive into Command to get to know Command. So I am a fan of Command. I don't completely drink the Kool-Aid on it. I mean, I do understand, and I'll tell you as well that there's some good days and bad days, but that's not what we're here to tell you about. But I do want you to know that in Command, there's a great, excuse me, buyer consultation presentation that I put together. And I thought I would share that with you guys today as well.
Yeah, and all the tips she's going to share with you. If Command's not your place, that's okay. That's still great information you can put into your own buyer consultation on whatever platform you choose to make it in.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, Keller Williams is so great for sharing. You should be able to walk down the hall and talk to anyone to say, do you have this or do you have that? And somebody should be able to share that with you. You shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. There's another great site, if you guys don't know about it, that has buyer consultation information, and that's the Lance Logan Group, the TLG shares. That one I went on several years ago, and I created a fabulous listing presentation out of that one.
I'm going to see if I can find it. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, but what I really like is, I really like the buyer consultation presentations that we have in Command. So if you go into the designs, and I can show you a little bit about what I did. So I think, first of all, for me, I love everything about real estate. It is exciting to me. I love meeting new people. Not everybody's like that. It fills my cup, gives me energy. So when I meet with buyers, I love to learn about them. I love to try to figure it out. So I think that would probably be my number one tip for everybody, because it's all about relationships, right? We're always talking about it's all about relationships. So it's really diving in and getting to know the people that you're working with. What drives them? What do they want? Because just like you, when you shop for a house, think about it. What did you want in a house? What was so important to you? So it's understanding their wants and needs and writing that down. And so sometimes nowadays it's very competitive, right? So I've had a situation where you can go in, I've gone in to see someone and they're like, well, we haven't really picked our agent yet. I'm like, okay. I think one thing you have to learn is not to be pushy. It's not all about getting that paycheck at the end. It's what's best for them. So I think that's very important. And I try to let them know, I'm not here to push you. I want to understand what's best for you. So I will show them things that would be important to me. So for instance, I'll give you a scenario. A couple months ago, the market was going crazy. I think there were lines out the door at a house in Glen Ellyn that we had. houses at that time, a couple months ago, were going for $100,000 over ask. So I sort of just sat down and gave them some tips, and I showed them a map. I showed them a map of town, and I said, well, here's where these different houses are. And I want you to understand. And I highlighted where the schools were. I don't think agents take the time to do that. I think that's really important. If they have kids, especially, where are the schools? What are the schools like? Here, and I'm going to use Glen Ellyn as an example. We have, I think, all in total in all of Glen Ellyn, like 8 grade schools, maybe 9. North of Roosevelt, we have 4, and we have 1 junior high. So you sort of have to go through and explain all that to them. So they were like, wow, no one's ever showed us that. So then they really kind of understood where they wanted to look for houses based on the fact that they wanted to be closer to town. So that helped.
Is that the right one? Did I find it?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Before I keep rambling, I'm not watching chat. Does anybody have any questions? There's a lot. There's a lot I could share, and I might not even be thinking about it. But I think my favorite part of the whole process is really just getting to know the people. And I really get excited about finding people their forever home. So that's just me. Yeah, you found it. Can everybody see it?
Here, we can also zoom in.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I went into designs, and there were a couple buyer consultation ones. I sort of picked the look that I liked, and I just started playing with it and putting our logos in. And I've handed this out to a couple of people when I first met them. And I think it really helps because sometimes they'll come in, right? They'll come to you and they'll be all over the place. And you almost have to sort of start reining them in. So this really helps rein them in. And I don't know, can you scroll to the next page? I don't remember what's in what order.
Which one are we looking for?
Okay, so this one is more of an instruction page for you guys. So when you print it out, you wouldn't print out necessarily that page. You'd just head to the next page then. Okay, so I'll always put an example, I'll put their name at the top. I'll put a picture in of one of the listings that we sold. So they kind of get an idea of things that we've sold, and I'll do a variety of different listings. Because people are like, you only do this or you only do that. It's like, no. I'll help anybody do anything. I mean, that's the key, is wanting to be able to help them. I'll even help you do a rental.
So you have one master template.
Yes.
And you kind of tweak it for each person. So there's just
Exactly.
a couple little things here and there, a picture, a name, right, that customizes it to them so that it makes it feel like you made it just for them.
Yeah. And if anyone ever Amy knows how to do this stuff inside and out. Working in design sometimes can be a little frustrating, but if you learn some of the tips and tricks, it really helps. I mean, I still get frustrated to this day, but.
I love that you have a table of contents.
Yes. Okay. So what's next after that?
What do you want to go over?
Just go to the next page. Let's see. I meant to print it out. So it talks about decision. If you go down a couple pages, let's see.
Well, that's important.
Okay, yeah. So it talks about their needs. They're actually in here in a couple pages. It gives them a not like a checklist, but a list of things to think about that they want in a home. And I think that's important after the first time. So that actually makes me think of something going back. Sometimes people are calling you and you set them up on searches, and they're asking you all kinds of questions. And I've been doing this, for instance, with one client for a few months. And I'm like, I really, really, really need you to come out. And I'm not trying to push them. But when I actually get them inside of a house and you give them 2 or 3, well, I know that's hard to do sometimes these days, but you give them a few to look at, you really should try to get a sense, and you should understand what they really want and what's working for them. And then you should almost be able to go out and FaceTime them, or even pick the house I have actually picked a house for somebody when she was in California and he was here, and we FaceTimed her and we picked out the house. So, because it's really knowing and understanding their wants and needs. So then what Amy's showing you is this home wish list. Now this buyer consultation presentation isn't something you have to have, and you take these, there's a lot of pages, but what I would recommend doing is taking the ones you really feel fit for that client. So I think maybe I take 8 to 10 of these first pages, and just clip them together, and I stick them in a little folder with my sticker on it so that they then have that folder that they can keep everything I give them moving forward.
And there's a couple of pages. So
Yeah,
that
there's
was
the home wish
interior,
list. Yeah.
exterior.
And if anyone wants me to share it with them, I am more than happy to do that. And it's really just going in there and changing some of the wording to fit you. Does anybody have any questions yet? I feel like I'm just rambling.
Well, I think you're making a really good point in here, especially this home wish list is a lot of pages, and it's because you need to know
Mhm.
exactly what they're looking for. In order for you guys to be able to optimize your time and your client's time, you spend the time up front asking the questions,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Because then you can eliminate houses from the search.
Yeah, I have a sheet too. Sorry, I forgot. This is something I use. I have a hard copy of it. I don't know if anyone can really see it, but it's called a new opportunity sheet. So anytime, what you really should be doing is learning how to use Command and putting everything in your opportunities and keeping it all there. It really is a great CRM system.
Here, hold it up there.
So when you put this information in, you're able to track everything, right? So this sheet is something I can take and I can learn everything about them. I would even recommend writing in their phone information I write down their kids' names, their kids' ages, create the relationship with them. Ask them questions about them next time you see them or you talk to them. I just had a client in St. Louis, they were always coming up. I don't know, you haven't even met their kids in person, but I know all about them. I know one of them was in the hospital recently having a breathing problem, so just it's creating that personal relationship with them and being a very professional and an expert in your community. I think that's really, really important. So getting to being an expert, for instance, you have to be the one that's the expert for them or you're going to lose them. I would never try to steal somebody's client. I would always, even if an agent comes from the city, I always tell that agent, I'm like, if you have any questions about this town, I know everything inside and out. Let me just call me, ask me questions. If they're asking you questions, feel free. I'm an open book.
I think this goes into exactly what you were saying at the beginning. Right?
Yeah. So I had a situation recently where an agent came in with their client and the client was asking me all kinds of questions. And that's great. So the client then ended up coming back later and asking me some more questions. And I had a list of open houses at my open house. And I said, here, take my list. Go ahead, go see these houses. And they happened to mention they had put an offering on something or were going to. And I said, well, are you prepared? Glen Ellen's kind of tricky. Here's what you should think about. Really be that expert on how they can win that house. This had nothing to do with me. I wasn't the agent. I wasn't going to get anything from it, but I was trying to help them. I think making sure you're there, whoever it is, it's going to come back to you. So I did this. I told them, I said, okay, great. We have this wonderful conversation. He was a former police officer in the city and an investigator. I was like, ooh, I hope you're not looking into my background. Just kidding. So he calls me up the other day and he said, you know what, my investigative skills led me to believe that you are an expert in this community. I said, oh, that's so nice. And he said, you know what, my wife and I really, really would like you to help us. We feel the agent was from a suburb not further away that didn't know as much of the town. So they asked me to be their agent. So, I mean, at first it's a little uncomfortable for me. I feel bad. And you also want to make sure they haven't signed anything with anyone else. You don't want to step on any toes. You don't want to get into some kind of battle with anyone else, but being that expert gets them to come back and ask you and want to work with you. So that was something else.
Margaret,
oh, go ahead.
Do you send anything to the customer before you meet with them for the consultation?
Me personally, no, I do not. I have a tendency to probably not do the right thing and have that buyer agreement signed. I like to get into the relationship with them a little bit because I don't want anyone thinking I'm being extremely pushy. I don't want them to think I don't have their best interest at heart or I'm trying to force them into something. I think it makes people feel really uncomfortable nowadays. That's why they're out searching on their own. I think once they, you know, you treat them with kindness and you really get to know them and you understand what they really need. It was like that client that came to me that said, well, we haven't really picked anyone yet. Well, they're my client now. I've been taking them out for a couple months. They call me, you know, because I became that expert that they felt, you know, they weren't going to anyone else. So I don't send the presentation when I meet with them the first time. I hand them this presentation so that they can take it home and look through it, because I think there are some really important things they need to look at to understand what they really want. I mean, I have a client from St. Louis that keeps coming up and they still don't know what they want. I feel like maybe I'm not doing a good job, but they, getting them really honed in and helping them. I mean, I've actually turned into a therapist on that one because we've lost several houses. But
I know they say what teachers and therapists make the best realtors, right?
there you go. There you go. I wasn't either, but I've turned into one.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you had said how you like using the design, but sometimes it's a little tricky. So what is, maybe you could tell us now, or maybe we could have another Zoom of some sort, but like, how is the best way to operate it? Because yesterday, what I was doing on there, I feel like I could have had it done in 5 minutes.
Yep.
On Canva, but then I was like, well, it's got the MLS, so it's got, other things, and it made me very frustrated. And I was like, I almost wanted to be like, well, screw this, I'm going to Canva.
Yeah, no, you know what, I'm right there with you, because I was actually putting together a feature sheet this weekend and I was like, oh, there are some things, maybe there's some things going on right now. It was a weekend and I didn't have a chance to talk to Amy about it, but it was like, I hadn't experienced what was going on. So I don't know if there are some things going on, if they're updating, but there are some really good, quick little tips. Like, I don't know if you've ever taken a class, but if you're putting a picture in, click on that picture, and then the picture that you've uploaded, make sure you hit the one that does the circle button, because then it'll transfer, that kind of thing. And then do you know where you hit the typewriter to work on the words?
You know what? I couldn't seem to find that.
When you are, I've opened a design. This is a blank one.
Can
We're
you
in
share?
my account now. It is sharing.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
See the green?
Oh, sorry. I'm not, this is all like a spaceship up here.
I know she's used to one screen. I have two. So what am I looking
I'm looking here and she's over here.
All right. So we are in my account. I have opened a buyer presentation. It's never been edited. I just opened it from scratch. And I think this is the one that Margaret. That's why I picked this one. So obviously first name, last name has to change. Your logos are going to want to be updated, right? Mm-hmm. So usually when it's little stuff like this, first name, last name, it's easy to just double click and highlight. However, a lot of times there's bigger paragraphs that you want to edit, and you don't want to have to highlight a certain little section or like accidentally move the whole box. So when you select it, you'll see I clicked on first name, last name there, and it's got that blue outline now. So that's how you know it's been selected. And what Margaret was just talking about is the typewriter feature. So all the way at the top, there's
not sure why that's called a typewriter. It says it, but it doesn't look like one.
It looks like a little bar and it's half black and half white. And you can click on it and it actually opens up a little drawer screen on the right hand side there, and you can do all of your editing right in here. So I could just put Amy Stack.
Oh my goodness.
Can you
change
We're like the light bulb.
Now it's updated. So that's
can you copy and paste in there as well?
Yes, you have to use the keyboard shortcuts. Good question. You can copy and paste, but you have to use your keyboard shortcuts. You can't do right click copy paste.
Because I was like, why can't I copy and paste?
I'm right there with you.
Another pro tip, use those keyboard shortcuts.
I will definitely
maybe we should do a class on just this, like in person, have people come in and do these on bring your computer.
Like a workshop.
Workshop.
Yeah. The other thing that Margaret was mentioning is when you have pictures, or in this case, I'm going to use the logos as an example. So DBA name, that's going to be your Keller Williams brokerage. So you can go ahead and click it. And again, once you actually have it selected, ooh, mine's being funky.
I think you're in the typewriter thing still.
No,
maybe.
We'll click off it. There we go. So there we go. Again, it's selected. It's got that little blue outline. Now it automatically took us to the My Assets section. So if you haven't set your assets up, that's something you'll want to do. And I actually do have a recording on that on this channel. But basically I've already preloaded my logos in there. So I can hover over the image I want to use and look for that circular arrow and click replace logo, and it pops it right in place for me. So I don't have to deal with resizing it or anything. It puts it right where it needs to go.
Yeah, because
That's
if you
really
don't
awesome.
hit that circle, you're just gonna get a picture like right over top of the middle of everything.
Just like that.
Yeah, see
Yeah.
how it just popped over? Yeah.
So then Royal Realtors, you
You
could
do
do the
that,
same
yeah.
thing. And this one is just, so
Do your social stack then, you could have shown.
right, the difference between this one, the Royal Realtors, and the Keller Williams one is the system knows that Keller Williams is a logo, so it's looking for it in this logo section.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily know that this is a logo, so see how when I hover over these, I'm not getting that circular option?
Mm-hmm.
But if I go to images, if I had my logo in here, see now I can hit replace. I don't really want my picture in there, but we're gonna pretend that's what we wanted today. You can
That's
also just upload new images by hitting add. So you can upload anything
Yeah, yeah.
for this specific page or for this, whatever design you're on.
So, and if you guys don't realize, if you're doing something, just to give you a quick little, Amy's got if you look over to the left, there's the KWLS. You can look up your listings, your actual listing. That's what you were saying, Chantel, earlier. It should go straight into, it should go to your listing.
So do you have an
Maybe
active one?
do, yeah, do 3 Ellyn Court, 3 ELLYN. It shows up. That's what it does every time.
I don't like the tough one. Do you know the MLS number? Is it
Mm-mm.
currently active or is it under contract?
It's under contract. Try
Oh, that's why
492
it's not
Oak.
showing up because it's under
Do
contract.
492 Oak.
Oh, you know what? I got to Illinois. What's going on?
It does this a lot.
Doesn't like your listing? Margaret?
No, it doesn't
Oh,
like
here we
me.
go. Here's some Illinois. These are up Bloomingdale though.
Just pick one of those, Glendale. Just pick one. Who cares?
All right, so we're just gonna select this one. And then all the listing photos are gonna pop in place there. So
Yeah.
let's say we wanted to feature a listing that we had that shows that we're working in the Glen Ellyn area because we're showing a buyer in Glen Ellyn, right? So again, we just have the image selected and then I can just hit that replace and that pulled right in from the MLS. So I didn't have to go to the email my photographer sent me. I didn't have to go to the MLS and manually download it and then upload it. You just find the listing in here. And I think the easiest way to do it is with the MLS number, but you can look up by address as well. So that's another nice tip. And then along with this KWLS button, if I'm gonna go back and pretend we haven't picked a listing. So it defaulted us into that listing tab, but there's also this snapshot tab. So when we have the page, let me find it really quick, that has the neighborhood information, and we want to talk about our neighborhoods,
This is a good one.
right? We can look by neighborhood name or by zip code. So neighborhood name, that's connected to Nextdoor. So it's not necessarily like Glen Ellyn, it's whatever the people in the Nextdoor platform call that specific area of town.
Okay, but if you don't know it, should you look up post?
You
Post
can, if you
or-
don't know the specific area, but you know the town name, you can just look up Glen Ellyn, Illinois, and it will show you all the neighborhoods for Glen Ellyn.
Okay, do Lake Ellyn up there.
So we want to do Lake Ellyn, so I can just hit the little drop down arrow here and we'll get 3 maps that'll populate 3 different styles. Some will have stats built into them already, like this one and this one. And some will just be the map, which you can see on the template on the right, it is just the map. So again, if I select the map and I hover over to my snapshot, I can hit that replace. And now I've made it Lake Ellyn. I can click that Barton Hills, hit my typewriter, type in Lake Ellyn.
Has anyone else learned anything? Because I just learned this one. I didn't know I could do that. I'm gonna update mine.
And so this is like what Margaret was talking about earlier, that you can really show the difference between 2 neighborhoods, and you can use these cool little maps or stats. So if you wanted to say this is what's currently going on in this area, it pulls all the data for you as well.
And you probably could add that as an extra box too.
Yeah,
by sizing it,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can click on any of these, it'll pop right in, then you can resize it and you can kind of drag it wherever you want. Maybe you do something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I love it. Anyone else have any questions?
Hey, Margaret, this is Gary. I'm in Kansas City.
Oh, I went to University of Kansas.
Yes, I tell you what, I love
Rock
Command.
Chalk.
I love Command, and I do a lot of marketing stuff through Command, but I always like to improve my presentation. So I like some of the pages you have on here. So Keller Williams believes in sharing. Can you send a copy of this, or can you share this with us?
Sure, absolutely. I'll ask Amy to I'll give it to Amy and she can send it out to everyone because I don't know. You're good at that. I'm not good at that.
Yeah, if you guys want to, I'm gonna put my email in the
We might
chat.
update my neighborhood insights page first.
Sure.
I'll put my
I
email
like
in the
it.
chat. And if you guys want a copy, just shoot me an email. It's just Amy Stack. Wow, that's all caps. That's all right. It'll still work.
I do that all the time and my kids are like, why are you yelling at me? I'm like, it's easier for me to see.
So if you shoot me an email just saying that you want Margaret's, presentation, we'll go ahead and I'll send that out to you as soon as I get it from her.
Yeah, no. I'll give it to her now. She's got to update my neighborhoods though.
Okay. I believe in Rob and duplicate, and I love some of the pages you've seen in here.
Yeah, and a lot of it was already in there in designs.
Right.
You might, if you go into the buyer consultation, Gary, go into designs and check those out because there's some, your colors might be more a little bit like black and white.
Ooh, that's another
I did
good
one
pro
with,
tip.
if Amy can show you, there are a couple of, I picked the one I liked, so.
Okay.
So, well, and there's also, speaking of, I think Chantel, you were asking about like pro tips and stuff. Maybe your branding isn't red and black and white, right? Maybe you're green or blue or purple, who knows? Maybe you're rainbow. It is Pride Month. So you can click on the text or like this little rectangle and you'll see these little circles at the top pop up. And that's how you can change the colors. So you can come in and you can move this little circle, you can move this dial, you can put in a specific code if you have a code. You can even use this really cool eyedrop button right here, and it will let you match something.
Oh, I
in
love this. I love this.
the image that
Yes.
you already have. So then I can hit apply and look, now my blue matches exactly the little boy's shirt.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
So I could do the same thing with the text. I click that little red circle, and now it's because I've chosen that color on this design, it remembered it. So I can hit that same color and now everything matches.
Yeah.
So I think that is a pretty good review of everything we set out to share with you guys today. Like I said, I do have lots of tutorials on the channel already about listing presentations, using designs. The listing presentation covers a lot of the same stuff as the buyer ones as far as how to use it. And then I definitely want to give Margaret a big thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Imparting her knowledge on us today.
And I will tell you guys, I put my listing presentation in a PowerPoint. I did not put it in designs yet. I would like to. I just haven't had time. But if anybody wants to see anything along those lines as well, I'm more than happy to share that because a lot of information that I pulled to put it in the format it is, I pulled off the TLG shares several years ago, but then made my own. So,
Yep, and I put that link in the chat too, so you
Yeah.
guys can grab that. If you want to see where she got some of her inspiration from, I'll put it in the chat again. And next week, same time, same place, we'll be doing Instagram. I have another guest coming on to do that one, Maria Pettit. So come back for that. And like I said, if you guys want to sign up for my newsletter, if you're not in the E2P groups, you're not getting it yet. So I'm going to put my link tree in the chat one more time. So that also should have my contact information for you, the YouTube channel, and the way to sign up for the newsletter. So
good
thank
job,
you so
Amy.
much for
You're welcome.
sharing. I
Bye,
hope you guys
guys.
all learned something today, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.